Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Wafula Chebukati, the former chairperson of the IEBC, passed on earlier today. And I've gone through the comments online. And Kenyans are actually divided right in the middle. There are those Kenyans who are celebrating and mocking the death of Wafula Chebukati. Because according to them, Wafula Chebukati betrayed them.
Chebukati is gone, but he has left behind a very big problem in this country. The problem we are facing in this country is as a result of Chebukati. If Chebukati could have done the right thing by not stealing elections for Kenya Kwanza government, today no Kenyan could have died because of abductions, killings and torture by this government. If Chebukati could have done the right thing, right now, Kenyan economy could have been growing tremendously. If Chebukati could have done the right thing, he could have been still alive right now. But because so many Kenyans have died under this government, the same government he decided to take money from to steal elections, that's the reason why he has suffered enough before he dies. May he rest in peace. But what Chebukati did in 2022 was not right. You cannot be greedy enough to steal elections for people who are clueless, who are incompetent, people who can only kill innocent Kenyans to be in power. Many mothers, many parents in this country today are crying because of what Chebukati did. They're crying. There's so many people who today are widows, people who have lost their children in abduction and killings by this government because of what Chebukati did in 2022. So even if you are gone, you need to know where you are, that your soul is not going to be at peace because of simple mistake that you did in 2022. So many people have lost their lives. Simple mistake you did in 2022. Many people have lost their lives. Many parents are crying. Today your mother is crying, but so many mothers in this country have been crying for the loss of their children through abduction, torture, killings by this government. So, just rest in peace. It's God to judge, not me. But you have left us a very big problem in this country. The government we are having this today is as a result of your stupidity, because you could have not done the right thing. So even if you are gone, the problem you have left in this country is so huge. It is going to take us more than 10 years to fix what this government is doing. The government is destroying this country, destroying the economy. The government has killed so many people. So you just go, but we are going to try to deal with the issues which was brought by you.
Most of those people voted for Raila Odinga in the last election. On the other side, there are also those Kenyans who are celebrating Wafula Chebukati as a hero. That Wafula Chebukati presided over free, fair and credible elections in 2022.
Ile hongo amehaidiwa, ile vitisho amepatiwa na amekataa na akasimama imara, that we can resist bribery and blackmail and intimidation and threats and serve in accordance with public interest as a public servant. And I want to say Chebukati is the hero of this election. Yale mambo Chebukati amepitia, Chebukati ameweka kiwango mpya ya wafanyikazi wote wa serikali katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Most of those people voted for William Samoei Arap Ruto in 2022. In fact, William Ruto led them in celebrating Wafula Chebukati as a hero. And because there are Kenyans who are celebrating and mocking the death of Wafula Chebukati, the family of the late Wafula Chebukati addressed the nation today. And they want the country to give the family space and privacy.
All that the family is requesting currently is that we are all saddened with the loss And as the family comes to terms with the loss, we are all asking everybody, including the press, the media, everybody running the social forums, please kindly allow the family some privacy during this very difficult moment. We'll be able to issue a formal communication hopefully by tomorrow.
But I don't think they'll be able to stop Kenyans from talking, posting, or even producing videos about Wafula Chebukati. In this particular video, I want us to look at the lessons which Kenyans can actually learn following the death of Wafula Chebukati. Remember, Wafula Chebukati presided over 2 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya. Wafula Chebukati presided over the 2017 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya. That election was nullified by the Supreme Court, which means Wafula Chebukati failed to deliver free, fair, and credible elections in 2017. He also presided over the 2022 presidential elections. And Wafula Chebukati was so keen in 2022 to an extent that he was only keen on how he was going to avert the possibility of the Supreme Court nullifying the elections again, because he already had some predetermined outcome. But let us not get into those for now. In this video, let us focus on the lessons Kenyans can actually learn following the death of Wafula Chebukati. The first lesson which Kenyans must take seriously is that integrity and accountability matters a lot. Wafula Chebukati is now no more. Let me ask you this simple question. Who printed Form 34A of Book 2? Because Wafula Chebukati died without telling Kenyans. For example, like myself, because I was so keen on that particular book. Who printed that book? Because remember, this country, how many registered voters do we have? Then you want to tell us that Form 34A was printed twice. It was supposed to be printed 1 copy, then they printed a duplicate copy. Who paid for that extra copy? What about the logistics? Because anytime you are printing a form, like they said it was printed by mistake. So if it was printed by mistake, it was Form 34A, printed by mistake, they were supposed to be transported. Which means we are not talking of a ream of paper or 2. We are talking of huge containers. Now, if the containers were supposed to be 5, then you have another extra 5. Who was footing those bills? That is what is called integrity. What was the role of Jose Carmago in the last election? Wafula Chebukati should have died after informing Kenyans who Jose Carmago was. The other question which I actually raised during the last election: what informed the decision to postpone the Mombasa gubernatorial election and the Kakamega gubernatorial elections? Those 2 counties were Raila Odinga strongholds. I would be at peace if, for example, Wafula Chebukati had also picked, for example, to postpone Nakuru or even Kiambu. The intention were very clear. The intention were to really suppress the voter turnout in those 2 ODM strongholds. So that boils down to integrity. The reason why Kenyans are now accusing the reason why Kenyans are now accusing Chebukati or celebrating his demise is because of integrity and accountability. And when asked some of these questions, Wafula Chebukati and the team were just like. So Kenyans went out there, they were very happy. As we speak, there are Kenyans who are still very bitter, are yet to recover from that particular election. The second lesson, which is also very, very important, is that it's important for you to leave a legacy. What can you remember Wafula Chebukati with? Are you going to remember him with the 2017 election, which was nullified, or are you going to remember him with the 2022 presidential elections? Because most Kenyans were actually playing this particular clip you are seeing there. Because that's what they can remember Wafula Chebukati with. So, legacy is important. Let me give you an example of David Maraga. David Maraga was the Chief Justice. He nullified the election of William Ruto and that of Uhuru Kenyatta. They were in a ticket at that time. Right now, Maraga is walking in the streets with his head high up there. With his head high up there. Currently, there are Kenyans who are actually trying to persuade Maraga to come back, trying to persuade Maraga to run for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya in 2027. That is what is called legacy. Some of those people asking him to come and run are those who supported Uhuru Ruto ticket at that time, and their election were actually nullified. But deep down them, they know that despite the fact that this guy nullified our election, he was right. Unlike Wafula Chebukati. If you ask Rosalie Akombe, she will tell you a lot of things. The ghost of Musando. So it's important to leave a legacy, so that by the time you'll be gone, you'll be remembered for something. Even by the time this guy was still sick, Kenyans were actually praying for him. Some Kenyans, which is unfortunate, for example. The third lesson, which is also very critical, is that the burden of public service is too heavy. It's too heavy. Samuel Kivitu, the same route. We are seeing also Wafula Chebukati, the same. Issa Hassan survived because 2013 presidential election, as much as there were rigging, it was the first time it was being implemented electronically. And of course, there was also the narrative of the tyranny of numbers. So it's still there. That burden, you cannot carry it alone. Wafula Chebukati made IEBC to be like Wafula Chebukati. And that's why when the 4 commissioners left, it was against Wafula Chebukati, while 3 other commissioners were still there. The fourth lesson is that all is vanity. There were talks that Wafula Chebukati was bribed, which cannot be verified. But let's just assume he was bribed. Do you think he has enjoyed it? He has not. And that's why it's important for Kenyans to understand that you can take bribes, you can be corrupt, you can misuse public funds, but at the end of the day, when the day comes, you will just go alone and leave everything on earth here. But the other important thing, which as a country we must learn, is the value of family. After the last election, Wafula Chebukati was isolated. At some point, I think in an interview, he claimed that he cannot even go to some public places. But the people who stood with Wafula Chebukati until earlier today were the family. So family is something we should never take for granted. I don't know any other lesson you may want to share with us from Wafula Chebukati's demise. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.